Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, and welcome to the African American Athlete uh, podcast, sponsored by Pre-Post Game, sponsored by the African American Athlete, hosted by Mr. Ricky Hampton and Michael Robinson. Check them out every Tuesday night on 10 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I apologize. I'm in a remote location right now, so it's a little noisy. Got a little bad weather in the area, but for those of you that see my podcast yesterday talking about what really goes on and what may happen with the legalization of sports betting in the NCAA, one of the things I want to talk about today is that how this is going to actually impact the actual athlete going forward and their family and their best interest. I said many years ago already that only a matter of time, but not when, if the student athletes start to get paid from a standpoint where there's so much money being generated revenue-wise pertaining to the NCAA and everyone around them. Now you add on legalized betting, giving another group of people an opportunity to actually cash in on the athletic skill set of these young men and families. And for the most part, in a lot of cases, they come from places where they can't even afford to pay their own bills and rent. And you essentially, you're talking about free scholarships, free education. Many people don't understand that is a lot of money that is required for the actual athlete and the family that need to be paid that is not covered in the actual institution of higher learning, which leads a lot of these young men to deal with things such as runners and agents and people that are out there trying to get these kids that are uneducated pennies for their dollar, and in essence, sometimes millions of dollars. So there was an article today read of the Detroit Free Press speaking of one young man named Rashawn Gary that goes to University of Michigan, the former number one all-raw recruit, basically saying that he, obviously, again, everybody knows his name, but he can't collect a dime off of his name and likeness and image. But yet, anybody that wants to go and start a T-shirt club or actual helmet signing situation, they can go sell it in the airport, sell it wherever they want to sell it at. And the reporter said that, well, it's unfortunate there's nothing these kids can do. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. There's a lot of things these kids can do. I'm using the Zoom application today. I don't know how well this is going to work. I'm going to try to see if I can actually get some things set up here where I can get you guys to see some things that go on with my screen regarding some of the things that I do here. But at the same time, there's a thing called intellectual property. And when you go to college and you basically are signing a lot of documents, for one, there's a thing called a national letter of intent. You're not required to sign a national letter of intent. The phrase back in the day used to say monkey see, monkey do. And I always say that he say, she say in 2018 is the most dangerous thing that parents can ever get involved with pertaining to sports and where they're trying to be with the young men and the young women regarding their children. The fact of the matter is a national letter of intent is a voluntary document, one that gives the university and the school the ability to essentially stop marketing you. So for a lot of the kids that don't like the scrutiny or the attention all across the country for people, and a lot of these coaches might want to put pressure on them and tell you such things as that, I got this one spot open. I really want you to sign here. Again, that's what we call coach speak. That's a used car salesman, lemon law type of deal. The fact of the matter is, if they really wanted your kid to go to that school, they will wait and they understand that this it's a reason why that you have a certain amount of time to make your decision. And anyone that's trying to force you to make that decision early, already telling you they don't have your best interests in mind. But once again, we're talking about adults, 35 to 40-year-old men that are literally getting a hold of kids a lot of times who don't know any better. Sometimes parents who aren't educated or who don't have the opportunity to really be involved with the process, or even if they were involved, they don't know what to do, what to say, or where to turn because there's no real resource. Between the AAU and the new showcase level, you got people basically being paid off, as I talk about sports trafficking, pushing these kids one way or another, left and right. Only 1% make it to the pros, but you need 100% of completion to actually create this actual monster known as the NCAA. So going back to that article or that report about these young men not being able to get paid, the NCAA is going to try to talk about things such as players receiving money for their likeness and image and endorsements. So you guys that don't know, that's been happening for years. There's a young man, I can't think of his name right now, a wrestler out of Ohio State that's been wrestling from the Olympic USA platform his entire college career. And it's another young man that also, I believe, did something similar in the Olympics in Texas that made up to close to $700,000 while in college. A lot of these rules are put in place specifically discriminate against football and basketball players who happen to be predominantly black because, again, they're generating revenue sports. There's rules such as a player can have an agent um, in college or going into college in sports such as hockey and baseball. Baseball players can leave directly out of high school and turn professional. But when it comes to, like I said, the basketball, football players, you have the 1 year that you got to be out of school currently right now, what they call as known as the one and done. And then for our football, you got to be out of high school for 3 years prior to being eligible to attempt to be in the NFL draft. Um, Once again, my mantra is sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Fact of the matter is the pro business is something different, completely different than the actual college business, meaning that if these young men, for example, let's just say that the 2019 NFL mock draft is correct. Let's say the guy like Mel Kiper who makes things up as he goes along, or Todd McShay, or any other one you want to talk about. Let's just say they're 70% correct about what is going to happen next year pertaining to the young men coming into this season. If that's correct, and then you have what you call a student athletic fund that the NCAA gave $73 million in 2013 to actually assist the students regarding certain things such as loss of value or permanent disability insurance for those kids that literally that's going to go out there and put themselves in a situation where they're going to take a chance on losing a lot of money for themselves and their families going forward. We know football is a brutal game, it's a short-lived game. Yet you still got universities and these coaches that will receive bonuses daily and will not pay for these kids' insurance, but yet they smile in your face and tell you how much they love you. But they okay with your son basically blowing his knee out and never fulfilling his dream as long as he can basically sit there and help the university continue to make money. It's a crying shame. And in 2018, it's up to the families and the athletes to actually recognize what business that they're in. Secondarily speaking, like going back to that 70% clip, if I was a kid talking about business decision, it behooves none of those kids to actually play their entire season. You're talking about making a change for the NCAA in one fell swoop. If everyone, the NFL is not going to say tomorrow, hey, you know what? Those 30 kids that are projected to be in the first round, 70%, barring doing something crazy and their athletic ability being what it is, they're going to be drafted. If they say tomorrow, you know what? In business, I'm going to not play this year in college. I'm going to go train. I'm going to get myself prepared for the NFL draft and leave it like that. You'll have the university screaming up and down, talking about, oh, they're not doing what's best for the team. The team. The bottom line, that would change everything. You best believe tomorrow this whole thing will come down and they would change the entire way of go about doing business. So when I talk about the legalized gambling, now talking about giving players endorsements, they're basically saying we can give you a couple dollars since we've been making money off you anyway with your jerseys and your ticket sales and your t-shirts. We're going to give you a couple dollars. And why they want to do that is because the people that's going to now be in legalized gambling, their biggest fear is that one of these major athletes get caught up because their mom can't afford to pay their rent or can't afford to make it somewhere. And the kid realizes, you know what, my mom needs this. The school not paying me nothing. And at the end of the day, this guy could be a friend of his, says, you know what, if you missed this free throw, you missed this tackle, I'll give you this certain amount of money. NCAA already has their runners, including their agents that they have inside of it, that they wouldn't be able to track. And so that so-called term integrity regarding this actual sports business model will collapse. It's the fastest thing you ever seen in life. So once again, to try to avoid that, they're going to look to try to appease or give some money to those that they already know they've been making money off of for years. They hope that that money that they give to those players will not allow those players to turn to some of the people that are going to start to show their face regarding this legalized betting going forward. When betting is legalized, it's now it's hard for even to track who's who and what's what. Obviously, all these rules that's been put in place, you can say legalized betting, but once again, the parent can't bet, the brother can't bet, the kid can't bet, but everybody else can make a profit or loss, if you will, off the actual athlete. So once again, that's the direct impact that you're going to have on that. And again, so paying the athletes, the stars, that's fine, but that's just the beginning. Fact of the matter is, like, you go to work today, everybody goes to work today. Nobody's going to work and says, you know what, I worked all week. I had 2 seminars, I had a meeting, and then at the end of the day, you let your employer tell you after all those hours you logged in that, you know what, we're not going to pay you this week because we provided you free education. There was a time once ago, way back when in this country, the land of the free and the home of the brave, that you talk about feeding someone, clothing them, teaching them how to read, and then wanting to make them feel good about themselves. That type of scenario was abolished a long time ago. Then you got those people that are still saying, "Oh, we don't want these athletes to get paid because they're going to be like an employees." And then they got to factor in taxes. I'm like, well, guess what? Those kids that are going pros in all these different leagues already should have been knowing about taxes 3 years ago. They are going to the institution of higher learning, receiving free education to do what? Again, to literally not know that in the state they go in, they got to pay a tax. In every state they play in, they don't know what a millionaire tax is. They basically are making deals and having meetings with financial advisors. Don't know what the term ADV mean. Don't know what a FINRA broker check is. Don't understand what a series license is, but yet he wants to go and start to invest his money. And after 3 years of education at that school, that's what you got to show for it. It's a joke. It's been a joke. It's the biggest misnomer on the planet, because at the end of the day, show me one athlete that spent 3 to 4 years in college that played at a high level of college and they using that actual degree to actually get them a 6 or 7 figure job in society we know is today. Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook at 19 years old. Athletes are the only people that literally can't go to school and literally do things to help them generate money to better themselves in life. That's what college is supposed to be about. Here's the catch. You don't have to do it. There's a thing called the NLI. There's also a thing called I was looking at this actual student statement, athlete statement. It's by law 1251 and then 212A3. And the reality is this: when you sign a national letter of intent as a parent, which you're not required to do, once the athletes get on campus, they give them basically a bunch of paperwork regarding, remaining eligible as an athlete, telling them you're not going to take drugs, all the things that is common sense. But like anything else, you spend 7 months to 3 years recruiting an athlete, tell them how wonderful they are, tell them how much you love them, tell them how much you're going to take care of them, tell them that if you come here, you're going to be in the National Football League, NBA, but then turn around that with 15 minutes left before it's time to make a decision, you shove a document in front of his face and want him to sign without understanding what it fully means. You say full scholarship, that means what? I get my everything paid for? Oh yeah. No. Do you know a full scholarship doesn't cover pens and papers? So again, book bags, the essentials that you need to go to school and learn and education, they don't do that. So that you got to pay for that. So once again, the more that you basically look at it and peel back the onion, if you will, this whole mantra or this model of giving free education was set up to build off of desperation. The SEC, in particular in football, became a powerful conference because most of these kids, and unfortunately their parents sometimes, had a second or third grade education. So when someone comes in and talks scholarship and they taking them out of there, these kids are happy to get off the dirt road. But yet at the end of the day, you got commentators and you got certain people in the SEC network act like who never could play the game in their life, that like these kids owe them something. Whether these kids play football or not, they can go broke with or without you. They can get injured or get hurt with or without you. Again, if you talk about what's going on today in sports, that whole mantra, oh yeah, if you come to this school, you can do this, you can do that. If you go to 2019 NFL mock draft as of right now, there's a young man named Ed Oliver that a lot of people, for all accounts, is projected to be a top 3 pick. Ed Oliver was an Under Armour All-American a few years back. Again, follow with me. A few years back, he was a 5-star recruit. That young man decided to stay home where he was comfortable at, where he was home, and stayed in Houston. Houston is in an AAC conference, I believe, not a Power 5 conference, and he's playing against in what people say in terms inferior competition. There's not one NFL pundit that says Ed Oliver is in a top 3 pick. So you mean to tell me he don't need Urban Meyer, he don't need Nick Saban, he don't need Jim Harbaugh, he don't need Jim McElwain, he don't need the guy from Florida State, whatever his name is. He don't need any of these coaches to put himself in a situation to make himself money for him and his family. So if your logic is true, what you said, then again, it has been proven to be a fallacy once again. So I go back to what I said earlier. Those 30 picks that are projected to go in the first round, and they all decided not to play this year, how much money would the NCAA lose? Or how safe and how much more protected and secured would these young men and their families be going forward? Specifically and especially when a lot of these schools are trying to play around and not pay these young men's insurance. Minka Fitzpatrick, the number 1 pick for the Alabama last year for the Miami Dolphins, 11th overall, again, didn't pay for his insurance. Now, you say someone such as Nick Saban, the greatest coach in the world, and I just mentioned Ed Oliver, who was potential number 1 overall draft pick. Do you know Nick Saban, his entire career, which he started in 1973, has never had a number 1 overall draft pick in his entire career, but yet you label him the best? See, this is the thing. You got people that's basically talking down to kids, trying to tell kids certain things. You got other people that's trying to move it, make a living and move up, using these kids as leverage to get involved with certain people and sugarcoating things. The fact of the matter is, this is business. They need to learn more about where they're going to be going when they go there. Are they going to end up in one of the 4 major states or 5, 6 major states that have millionaire taxes, such as California, Washington, D.C., Maine, New Jersey, New York? I believe it's one more, and I apologize off the top of my head. So that's a millionaire tax on top of the regular taxes you have to pay. And again, kids don't know about state tax. So if I talk about education and things of that nature, if I was a player and I'm a free agent, what conference would I want to play in, or division I want to play in the NFL? And essentially, I would want to play in the AFC South. The AFC South involves the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Houston Texans. All of those states, except for Indiana, Tennessee doesn't have a state tax either, have low income taxes, no state tax at all. And then, as you know, in the NFL, you have what you call about the Jock Tax. The Jock Tax means no matter what state you play in, you get 17 checks for 52 weeks. And every state that you play in, you have to pay a check, and you have to pay those state fees. So if you're in the NFC West, you got the San Francisco, LA, and a few other teams, Seattle. Then now you're like, man, wow, this really hit my pockets. But yet, you kids, they got kids signing up with agents 5 or 6 months in advance about something that literally they can't dictate one way or the other. And then all of a sudden, if I'm the first pick overall, or I'm the 240th pick overall, I just signed an agreement with someone that I understand that's basically that can go up and down like the weather. That's what kind of free education did they receive to do that? This is 2018 technology, CBA, collective bargaining agreement. All these different things is out there to put you, the parent, the athlete, give you the leverage that you need and you deserve. Sports is a short-lived career, very, very short. And again, specifically in football, you have, they have really, really a short time. It's an injury-riddled game. You haven't figured it out. I did a post earlier talking about they call wide receivers divas. And again, I actually tagged all these receivers from currently and former National Football League. So they call a wide receiver a diva, but the last time I checked, if you look at the salary cap of the National Football League, the quarterback almost makes 25 to 30% of the revenue for that team. And then you talk about terms such as, it's a quarterback-driven league, but you got quarterbacks that haven't won or driven anything, but yet you still pay them. And then you got 10 other guys who you don't pay, who is basically their job is to protect the one guy who then did nothing. What kind of logic is that? I'm 1 of the 10 protecting the guy who's not doing anything, but you don't pay me accordingly based off my production. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. To recap, my name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game. I'm also known as a player's rep at Educate and Empower, protect the athletes and the family's best interests alone. This is the African American Athlete radio talk show hosted by Mr. Ricky Hampton and Michael Robinson. Check them out on Tuesdays. They cover everything pertaining to the African American athlete, past, present, and future. They do a great job with that. Check them out on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I specifically talk about business in this business of sport. I was talking yesterday about, how I make sure, even though I might say certain names and say certain things, my diatribe, if you will, is always business oriented. It's never personal. And the reality is there's so many different things that happens in the sports business today that is set up to put athletes and these families in a certain not reasonable situation, push their buttons. Like I said, sports should be a pleasant time. But as a former high school, college, and collegiate, and professional athlete, I can't always tell you that the people that you come across and some of the things that you thought when you got into it, they don't turn on exactly what they said it was going to be. That leads to a lot of different things that people don't want to talk about and address. Mental stability is very, very important. Your mental health, your self-awareness, your self-worth. We work on all those things with athletes and their families, and in sports, it makes them let them understand and know that they're more than an athlete. They're important. They have a purpose in life, and a sport should not and will not be dictated to who they are. They're just doing it, and it's something that they can do. And again, a lot of people want to always talk about, I wish I can go to school and play a sport for free. Well, that's cool. That's nice. You can do that. But the difference is nobody going to pay to watch you do it. These kids are unique. They are talented. They have a skill set that many, many, many people wish they could have, but they can't. And now adding on to the legalized betting to go along with the NCAA structure, to go along to the coaches structure, to go along to the TV and advertising, to go along to every single person that continues to generate or make money and make a life off of these kids without even asking them what they want or even understanding what they need is disgusting. It really is. And once again, I'm not gonna sit back and talk to those that literally have their own thought process and what they want to try to do. I get it. They earn their own business entity. They figured out a way. Congrats to the agents that figured out, hey, we got a model where kids don't know nothing, so I can tell a kid to pay me a percentage or something, and I'll say something such as, oh, hey, if you're in the first round or you're in the top 10 picks, you only got to pay me 1%. If you're in from 20 to or from 11 to 20, you only got to pay me 2%. And then if you from the 21 to the 32, you only got to pay me 3%. So you got the kid thinking, no, you did him a favor. But the kid don't know what the salary cap is. These contracts are structured. So for those guys that don't know, to break that down in plain English, is that 1% in the top 10 picks is extremely way more than 2% in the next 10 picks. And then that's 2% is way more than the actual 3% in the next 3 picks. But they got the kid feeling like, oh, you're only going to charge me 1% in the top 10 picks? Thank you so much. And these people do this every single day of the week with a smile on their face, realizing that, hey, this is too easy. Overnight millionaires going broke. 80% go broke mentally, financially, socially by the time they finish playing. And then when the game is over, what are they going to do after that? For those of you that signed, that don't know, a lot of young men signed in rookie minicamp, free agent wise, already they've been cut. It was in their teams for 2 days and they've been cut. Some of them might go to Canada. Some of them might be done. And if they're done, I like to see somebody reach out to me and tell me and show me a story of how all of a sudden, once they finished after their career in college, that they got this miraculous job right out of school, making 6 figures. And their passion and their drive, what they're driven to do, and their free education they got set them up for long-term success. They're able to get their mama out the hood where their coach came to get them at. Just show me just one. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for a lot. At the end of the day, people that keep talking on these shows, like what is the Knight Commission, the NCAA commission that's put together to supposedly speak on athletes' behalf. Again, no disrespect to Condoleezza Rice. She's a marvelous woman. She's accomplished a lot in life. She's done a lot of great things. But I mean this with all due respect. She has no business speaking on behalf of athletes, which, again, she has never basically been where these young men are. You got to talk to the families and talk to these kids first before you make decisions and rulings about something you do not understand. Again, I'm here, Knights Commission. You really talking about helping these kids? Give me a call. Like I said, you can reach us at prepostgame.com. Somebody get them my number. We'll get it straight. We'll get it straight quick. But like I said, at the end of the day, we have to really stand up for these kids because, once again, you talk about generational wealth. You talk about the African American community. The fact of the matter is that sports allows African American kids to have opportunities that most people don't never get. It is a crying shame for these young men and women to put themselves and their bodies in situations where they can do so many different things and get so far, but they all of a sudden have it all taken away from them because somebody else is sitting back there waiting to take advantage of them. And we sit there, and then again, we talk about terms such as trust the process and God's plan. It's never been a Fortune 100 or 500 companies talking about signing this agreement because it's God's plan. Kids, sometimes we can't get out of our own way. And like I said, again, it's not about being emotional, it's about being a matter of fact. If you want to come, you want me to come to your school and you tell me I'm gonna have my own room, put it in writing. Go get your lawyer. Parents, like I said, at the end of the day, you talking about signing documents. Tell the school, tell the coaches, I'm not signing anything to have a review. When I talk about after the kid signs his first NL line, he goes to school. Do you ever ask yourself and wonder why they actually have these kids sign a bunch of documentation after the fact once you're no longer there? When do these kids sign anything without you? But once again, it's about, oh yeah, you don't want to reach out to your mama. You're a man now. It's a joke. Like I said, you got people playing on these kids like your mental capacity and their emotions and turning around and robbing them blind, happily robbing them blind. Again, people want it all the time. Why do I do what I do? And I tell them myself, I've been through this. I've been through it. It's not fair. It's not right. But again, instead of talking about, why it's not right and harping on it and going crazy, we're here to create solutions for the athlete, for the families, for the people that without them, they wouldn't be making billions of dollars. You talk about what athletes do and how sports really factor into this actual country. You got to realize every sports venue you watch the game last night with LeBron and the Cleveland Cavs in Boston. Do you realize, again, even how the NBA is kind of, crazy right now? Because, hey, we know now we got 2 more games coming back to Boston, at least, if not. So we're talking about the ticket sales, the parking, the flights, the hotels, the beer, the TV, the jersey sales, the merchandise, the bobbleheads. And list goes on and on. The valet parking. These athletes are responsible for every single one of these people having a career and a job. Every day there's some type of sports debate show saying nothing, spinning everybody in circles about something they can never do in their wildest dreams. But yet somehow we can convince you by saying that they're experts in something. You can't be an expert in something that you don't have an experience in. But you can talk about it though. That makes you feel better. But like I said again, they are the reason why these people are employed, but yet they get slandered and they get attacked all the time. That's why I'm the player's rep. And I'm going to speak for the player. I'm going to speak for the player's family, for the players that get bullied by the universities and certain institutions, certain people that sources, the people that you believe got your best interests in mind. I would tell people all the time, keep your business close to your vest. A lot of people wonder who I am and how I got to where I am right now. But the beauty of it is that how I got where I am and where I continue to go is not because I'm not qualified to do it. It's because I'm not interested in basically making myself acknowledged or visible to those that I don't serve. I serve the player and I serve the families. I work for them. I'm not looking to try to become somebody that you want me to be simply because it makes you feel good about you. I teach families and athletes that all the time. When you wake up in the morning, as an athlete, the hardest thing to do is not to try to appease and please someone. You've been taught all day long, hey, coach such and such. So again, in the day, you can jump through hoops, you can do cartwheels, you can do everything you wanted to do. But if that coach don't want you to play, he beats you down, makes you feel horrible about yourself. Then you all of a sudden now you're not playing anymore. So now you turn to drugs, turn to alcohol. By the way, when you talk about how you get kids and you talk about recruiting and recruit. Anybody sat down and asked themselves, why did that kid go to that school? See any ESPN 30 for 30s about why did that kid choose that school? Did you see any conversations about what did you do on your recruiting trip? Again, drugs, sex, and alcohol. But then when you see things like Larry Nassar in Michigan, Michigan State, then everybody can't believe what's going on. You hear about things that is going on with some of these kids. But all of a sudden now they don't know how to make right decisions. They've been told yes, yes, yes all their lives because everybody else benefiting off of it. But then somebody tells a kid no, and he's in a domestic violence situation. What kind of programs do they have in NCAA to protect these kids and these families, help them make the right decisions? Well, again, I guess you can't have any if you're going to hold your coaches accountable the same way. Like I said, again, trust the facts, not the process. If you guys like this video, I'm educating and power protect you anyway. Please like and share with those families and athletes that literally need to know what's what about the sports business. At the end of the day, no matter what topic, no matter what age, we start working with from sixth grade all the way through to, like I said, post-retirement. And it's a pleasure. Again, I get to work with people that have millions. I work with people that have nothing. And every single day when I get up, I try to figure out what can I do to basically make sure that some of these kids and these families don't go through some of these things that they don't necessarily need to go through. There's 700 schools in college, 700 football play. They have a football, only 32 NFL teams. So again, that argument by saying that it's about education, you can't be about education if you know that none of these kids are going pro, but yet you still sell tickets, beer, pamphlets, opportunities, and all the different things. But yet when the kids that are going pro with the $73 million that's spent, why aren't you paying for the insurance that covers them at the level that they need? Why did a parent got to put themselves in debt for someone that actually made millions of dollars for you? You hear any coaches, and again, I guarantee you, this is going into 2019 collegiate season. Alabama won a national championship. I promise you, Nick Saban, Alabama did not send thank you cards to every kid and every parent from the 2018, 17, 16 class for helping him make $11 million last year. Helping his assistant to make another $1 million, another assistant to make $1 million, his strength coach for making 600-something thousand. Not one. But they're the reason why he has a job. They're employed because of him. I mean, he's employed because of them. Yet it won't happen. And until parents and athletes start recognizing their piece and their worth in this whole world and in athletics, it will continue to be a certain situation like that. But again, we got attorneys now. There are attorneys out there that's recognizing these things aren't right. Again, you talk about bylaw, and I'm gonna give you the actual bylaw and read it to you guys. The bylaw is 12.51. Any commercial items with names. So basically what that means is that, again, any commercial item with names, likeness, or pictures of multiple student athletes may be sold at the member institution at which the student athletes are enrolled. Institutions conference, institutionally controlled, owned and operated outlets or outlets controlled by the charitable, educational, or not-profit organizations. Items that include student athlete's name, picture, or likeness, name on jersey, bobblehead, other than informal items, media guides, schedule cards, institutional publications. So again, you got the athlete has to sign that. Your kid should not be signing any documentation without you looking at it, or you tell the school, I need to have my lawyer review it first, and we'll get back to you. They are not going to take your scholarship. They will be upset, but that's not your problem. At the end of the day, yes, having your likeness and image sold or shown on TV can be a really exciting thing for certain kids. But at the same time, when you look at when it's all said and done, if that same kid gets, they'll never show his face again. They'll tell you next man up. Sorry. So at the end of the day, you got to make a business decision. But the reality is, signing documentation you don't understand is a problem anyway. If you were fortunate to make it to the pros and you continue to sign things you don't understand, like the term perpetuity, I talk about that word all the time now, because now with the new 2018 tax law, agents cannot have their fees deducted by the kid. So way back when, not way back when, but 2011, 8, 7, whatever it may be, agents that were negotiating always would say that, yeah, we charge you this much, but you can write this off in your taxes because your tax threshold. Well, in 2018 Trump tax reform, that can no longer be the case. So now agents are promising or taking more or asking for more marketing percentages. And at the end of the day, every athlete can't be marketed. And at the same time, the reality is that marketing companies don't want the agent, they want the kid. So if Nike wants to talk to the kid, you're going to give somebody 25, 30% of your marketing rights because he told you that, hey, we have connections with them. Anybody that has millions of dollars has connections with Nike. If you're a reputable man, a young kid, your grandmother could be a marketing agent. You don't need to sign off with that. There's no law requirement for that. And once again, they'll never tell you that because once again, they trying to use that to actually recruit your talent. But now you look at that contract, it has the word perpetuity in it, meaning for life. So again, you're saying that for life, so you go from the NCAA signing something you don't understand, you go to the pros, sign the term perpetuity that you're going to always be able to make money and revenue off of me. Again, this is a big, big, big deal. And like I said, going into now, when it comes to these legalized gambling, you're going to have a whole group of new people that are even some of your kids' friends. I fear that some kids, like, from the hood where, they might have hung out or been around some people that are in gangs, whatever it may be, it might now want to, put some type of physical threat or expectation on your kids by saying, hey, you better either score 25 tonight or you better miss this free throw or else. These are all these things that people don't really recognize and talk about. Everybody looking at it from a standpoint where, yeah, I'm going to make money for myself. I'm going to make money. And screw the kids, screw what happens with them. And once again, now that it's going to be legally funded, now if a kid does do something that he shouldn't did as a kid, he is now looking at federal crimes. That again, nobody's factoring what is about to really happen. Again, that's why I said it's time to pay the players. It's time to have alternative methods. If you're a football player and you're looking to go to the national football, you got the skill set. Like I said, the Ed Oliver, the Rashawn Gary, the Nick Bosa, who I'm not going to really discuss right now with his tweets. At the same time, if they didn't play football this year, they'll also be first-round picks next year. That's a fact. Any scout could tell you that. They wouldn't tell you, oh, you know what, since Rashawn didn't play this year, since Nick didn't play this year, since Ed didn't play this year, we're just going to not draft. We're going to draft the kid from, whatever. It doesn't happen that way. It won't happen that way. At the end of the day, once people start recognizing their leverage in this sport, and again, athletes have leverage when they're young. Your leverage don't come when you old. So once you start realizing that and start taking your time and looking at what's really going on from a big picture standpoint, not the day-to-day, not in the moment, you'll be better off. And again, when it comes to these young men, when they look at their careers, when it's all said and done, to actually really look at it as a business, it'll be a much more rewarding. Because once they can focus on the game the way they want to, by having their business in order, the likelihood of them playing better is greater. But when they make bad decisions or they lose money, they start to press. They start to take drugs to try to keep their stay in the game longer than they once would before. And at the end of the day, everybody around them, they're not worried about that because they're going to just use what you call, again, He say, she say. Oh, I work with that guy. I work with this guy, a friend of mine. So the reality is, again, you got to sit there and look at your whole big picture. You got to invest in yourself, not the injury, not the industry. Again, check us out at prepostgame.com. I'm Robert Chigreen, like I said before. I am the players rep. I have a sports business management advisory and transition succession company for athletes. And once again, who are you when you're not an athlete? You're more than an athlete. Again, this is a little a short-lived post today simply because, as you can see, I'm not in my comfort zone and it's kind of noisy. I hope I did a good job. Hope that the feedback is not um, too bad for you guys. But again, if you have questions, definitely check us out. Speak to Mr. Ricky Hampton, send a message to the inbox. We'll try to cover the topics that you guys want to know regarding business, regarding situations. Last night, again, it was the NBA draft lottery. Phoenix won number one pick. What a coincidence that Phoenix got the number one pick, and DeAndre Ayton, who was at Arizona, who under the FBI probe in the beginning, now is out of school and about to make millions. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Look forward to talking to you guys again soon. God bless you. Have a great day. Bye bye.